Hooty hoo, all my stock market gamblers. Welcome today. I'm Tall Mike. So glad you're here. What do we got going on? Well, we got the markets. We had a little bit of distribution going on. We had that first down leg, had a V-shaped recovery. Now we're having the second down leg. Now it's getting really exciting if you're a trader in the market. You see, we've had this great run up. 15, 16 years? It's been incredible, right? Straight up, but it's coming to an end. Very shocking. We're in a topping pattern, and I think the bear market has already started. I think it's already started in the NASDAQ. I don't think they're going to push that up to a new record high. Yes, maybe the S&P still gets pushed up to a new record high, but the NASDAQ, I think, has already started the bear market. I think the rest of the indexes are soon going to follow. The S&P is going to follow. The Dow, the IWM, which is the small caps, they're all going to follow the market lower. You see, we got this topping pattern. Don't get me wrong. They might push it up one more time, but even if we get a new record high, it's going to be very marginal. It's not going to be a lot of gain here. So I'd be really cautious if you're in the marketplace. You see, this market is ready for the downturn. Now, why do I say that? Well, the yield curve has finally reinverted itself, right? And that's a sign that the recession is it should be here within about 3 months. Now, I say we're already in a recession, but it's going to hit really hard in about 3 months. That's the recession, right? Now, the Fed's going to pivot. They're going to pivot next week. I think it's next week. Yeah, next week. The Fed, when they come out with the announcement, they're going to pivot, right? They're going to lower interest rates, maybe by a quarter. Some people say by a half, but it's probably only going to be a quarter. Not really going to do that much. But what it is it's a sign also that the recession's coming, that they're pivoting for a reason. You see, it's not they're pivoting because the market's at a record high. It's not they're pivoting that inflation's still there. No, they're pivoting because they see something bad. It's called job losses. So they're pivoting. The recession's coming, right? But Mike, it's different this time. We got modern monetary theory. We can just print money. There's not going to be a recession. And that may be your take. A lot of moon boys think that. That's perfectly fine. My take is the recession's already here, and we're going to be in a deep recession within 3 months. And this market that's topping out pattern might make a little bit of marginal highs, might push the S&P higher up, get a new record high. NASDAQ, though, think we're already started the bear market, and the rest of them are going to follow, and the bear market's finally going to take hold. 15, 16 years, straight up, the longest bull market we've ever had. So the bear market will probably be the longest bear market we ever seen. Now, do I think it's going to be a hard crash? No, I don't. The HYG is still holding pretty strong, which is the junk bonds, and that tells me that'll probably just be a gradual bear market starting. Now, it can pick up steam and then really take off to the downside, but the top is here. The top is in. Finally, after 16 years, we're finally getting to see the top, and we're finally going to start downward. Now, that's just my take. You got to do what you do. I got to do what I do. All right, let's get over to the housing market. Now, this one article, it just cracks me up, really. Okay, so they're talking about the American dream, right? Now, George Carlin, the great prophet, he said you have to be asleep, and that's the reason it's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe that it's actually true. Well, not anymore. They've taken out the house ownership from the American dream. They're pushing the American dream without the home ownership. Now, that's fascinating to me. Okay, now I agree with them that it's a terrible time to be buying a house. They've never been more unaffordable, right? As a matter of fact, nationwide, it's about 55% cheaper to rent the same house that you'd be buying. Now, in my area, it's much more extreme than that. It's actually 2/3 cheaper. You pay about $5,000 in rent to get the house that would cost you a $15,000 mortgage payment to buy. So it's about 2/3 cheaper to rent. So they're trying to push the concept that the American dream is now for the home renter, not the homeowner. Very fascinating take on things. Now, okay, now here's the thing. All right, so you got a shifting market right now. You're not getting the news though day to day. I mean, I'm a real estate broker. I get to see this stuff firsthand, right? And I mean, it has shifted, right? Okay, so we got the supply of existing homes skyrocketing, just skyrocketing, right? New home listings nationwide, they're up 36% year over year, 36% more listings than there were a year ago. Okay, well, why is that? Well, because they're not selling. You see, we're at a record low as far as the number of sales go, which is down 44% from pre-pandemic levels. We're down 44%, right? So homes are not selling. We're at a record low. What does that do? Well, you got inventory going up and you got nothing selling. It means days on market starting to get longer and longer. It used to be like 3 to 6 days was normal. Now it's like, well, 3 to 6 weeks, and soon it's going to be 3 to 6 months, and then it's going to become 3 to 6 years, and then you're not going to be able to sell at any price. You're not going to be able to get out. Now, just in July, this is very interesting. 65,000 homes fell out of escrow. These were people that put in offers, wrote contracts, got their contract accepted, put it into escrow, and then they fell out of escrow. 65,000. Now, that's 16% of every home that entered escrow in July did not close. It fell out. That's very unusual. We got a big shift coming in the housing market right now. Very exciting times. I'm telling you, this is strange. This is different. This is where the shift is coming. The shift is coming in the stock market. You're all topping out patterns, right? And the same thing's happening in the real estate market. You see all the bubbles, they're getting ready to deflate. Very interesting. Now, why is this? Well, let's talk a little bit about the Federal Reserve, right? Okay, so they kind of boxed themselves into a corner, right? Okay, now they got to lower rates. Now, why they got to lower rates, Tall Mike? Inflation's still running hot. They have to lower rates to save the job market, to save the corporations, to save the federal government, to save the banking systems. You see, the banking crash has already started. Right now, when you see a stock crash, you see it happening, right? The Dow goes from 40,000 down to 35,000, down to 30,000, down 25, down to 20,000. All of a sudden, you're half off. Now, the banking crash, it's invisible. You don't see it happening. I mean, if you saw it happening, it'd be a train wreck already, right? The banks are in big trouble. They can't survive. They have big holes in their balance sheet. You want your money back, all the banks go down. They just topple over. It's an invisible crash right now. Right now, where'd the Fed, they stopped raising rates. When did they stop raising rates? When Silicon Valley Bank happened, right? Silicon Valley Bank failed, and then the Fed had to stop raising rates. Well, now they're starting to see other banks are going to topple over, so they actually can't raise rates to fight inflation. We're waving the white flag against inflation. But Mike, we've won inflation. Everybody knows that. It was at 9%. They say it's down to 3% right now. My homeowner's insurance just went up 34%. Is it really down at 3%? Have you been to a grocery store? No, it's not at 3%. They just changed the way they measure things. Because why they change it? Because they don't think you can handle the truth. The truth is inflation's still running 8 to 10%. Unemployment numbers, they say they're down at 4%. They changed the way they measure unemployment. You go back to 1994 and measure it the way they did back then, well, we're well above 10% unemployment already. And that number's going much higher. The whole thing is circling the drains. So many things are going to blow up. Pension funds, they're going to blow up. You're not going to get your full pension. You think you're going to get your full pension. You're not. They're underfunded. They're failing. They're going to blow up. Hedge funds are starting to blow up. The Fed sees this. They don't have a choice. They have to lower rates. They have to wave the white flag against inflation. You're going to see inflation come roaring back. You're going to see it well above that 9% measured in their own terms, where it will really be above 20% in the way they measured it back in the 1980s. What's this going to do? It's going to be a great problem. Now, people think that, but Mike, if you got inflation, well, the housing market's going to boom upward. It could in nominal terms, right? And I don't even think it's going in nominal terms. I think this whole thing's come melting down. Don't get me wrong. But when you're talking about real terms, what's that inflation number going to do to gold and silver? Now, people say I talk too much about gold and silver. Why do I talk so much about it? Because it's important. It's the way to protect yourself from this evil company called the Federal Reserve. Look at they're just stealing your money. They don't have a choice, right? They can tax you, right, and do it the honest way and say, okay, we're raising your taxes. We're going to double your taxes. No, they can't say that. So what do? They just steal your money through devaluing the currency, and that's known as inflation. Last 4 years, they've taken 25%. Every dollar you make, every dollar you spend, every dollar you had in savings has just lost 25%. They steal it. That's how they do it, right? Because they can't tell you, look, we're going to come in and we're going to double your taxes. Why do we even pay the taxes? Why don't we just print the money? Because that's going to blow up, right? It's going to blow up. We're 35 trillion in debt, 120 unfunded liabilities. This is not sustainable. Anybody can see this, but the Fed's got to come in. They got to pivot and they got to lower rates. They try to save things. They try to kick the can down the road. But here's the thing. The Fed is in a checkmate situation. They can't lower rates because then you got inflation. They could default, right? That's the other choice. No politician would ever default. They get kicked out of office. You want your Social Security? Yeah, I'd kind of like my Social Security. Well, they got to give it to you, right? Because they can't default on that. Well, you like Medicare? Oh, yeah, I'd like some Medicare. That'd be good. Well, they got to give it to you, right? So they don't have the money for either one of those. So what do they got to do? They got to print the money. An extra $1 trillion every 100 days. We don't even have the money. Don't bring in the money to pay the interest. Why? Why? Well, because we got other bills. We got the defense budget, right? We got all the budgets we got to pay, and there's no money left to even pay the interest on the debt. So we got to increase the debt. We got to get more debt. And this is just going to get out of hand. That's why I talk about gold and silver so much, because you got to protect yourself. You just have to protect yourself. Now, here's the thing. Not only is the Fed lowering rates, right? They see the banking crisis. There is a crisis going on. There is a bank crash going on right now as we speak. Now, I say the quiet revolution, get your money out of the bank, you put it into real money, gold and silver. But anyways, the Fed, they also just came out and announced, you see, when Silicon Valley Bank went down, the Feds came out and they said that the banks have to increase their capital reserves by 19%. And they were going to give them some time to do that. Now, I don't know what 19% even is, because I thought their capital reserves was at zero. 0 times 19 is still 0, right? So, but they were supposed to increase it by 19%. Well, anyways, they just cut that number down. They go, oh, don't increase it by 19, increase it by 9. Less than half, they just chopped that number down. Why? Because the banks are all about ready to fail. You got to do something. You got to save yourself. Now, you do you. I'm doing me. I'm quietly pulling the money out, quietly buying some real money, some gold and silver. It's just what I'm doing. Look, you can do whatever you want to do. I can't tell you what to do. You can stay in this stock market. It's overvalued. It's going to come down. Now, here's what I tell people. I go, look at the Dow. What are we? 40,000, 41,000, right? Where's gold? 2,500, right? They're going to go 1 to 1. Now, maybe the Dow comes down to 20,000 and gold goes up to 20,000, but they're going to hit 1 to 1. Did it in 1932, did it in 1982, 50 years, going to do it again. It's coming up, right? I mean, it's going to happen again, and we're here to see it. It's a fantastic time to be alive. We're going to get to see a lot of stuff. Now, granted, it's not going to be pretty, but if you protect yourself, maybe you know what's coming. People that don't watch this channel, they got their head down in the sand. They don't see this coming. They don't know what's coming. Me and you, we can talk about it. I know I get a lot of haters telling me this couldn't possibly happen because we're the United States of America, the best country there ever was, and we can print as much money as we want to buy whatever we want because that we live in the greatest country in the world. And we used to be a great country. We're really kind of embarrassing right now from the country that I grew up in when we had the real money, when they had silver in your your money. Well, you know, I remember the coins, right? I mean, you take one of those quarters, you go down to the gas station. We even had what was called the coin-op gas station. You put the quarter in and you get your gallon of gas. Well, you know that quarter still buys you a gallon of gas because you got to take that silver quarter. If it's pre-1965, 1964 and down, 1965, they took the money out of the money. But you take that quarter down to the coin shop, he'll give you $5 or $6 for it. Then you go buy your gallon of gas. You see, nothing's really changed if you're on the real money. But what's happened, the Fed has stolen everything from us, 99% of our purchasing power since they've been there, right? We got to get rid of them. There's no need for them. We don't need the Fed. We can rebuild back better. Yes, we have to reset. Yes, it's going to be painful. Is the government going to do it? No, they're not going to do it. So you have to become your own central banker. Take your money quietly out of the bank, you put it into some gold and silver, and protect yourself from what's coming. Now, what's coming is going to be scary, going to be sad. Look at it. I mean, your house going down by 40, 50%, that's going to be the least of your problems that if you don't have any money, right? Because the money that you have is not real. It's going to zero. It's going to go away. Yes, there's going to be reset into the digital central bank digital currency, but you don't want that. They can turn your money off if they don't like who you voted for. It's that simple. We got a big election coming. It doesn't matter who wins. This thing's going to come crumbling down. Right now, we're at the top. Very exciting times. Very exciting times. Almost time to start shorting the market. I think they'll push it up one more time, but then it's going to be a feeding festival to the downside. I'm Tall Mike. You like this stuff? Give me the thumbs up. Why not? Get out there, everybody. Punch the subscribe button. We got to get to 4,000. 4,000 subscribers. Man, when I started this, I'm so happy. You know, I do appreciate each and every one of you. I really do. When I first started this, I thought I'd be lucky to get 50 people. One day, I got 100 people to watch one of my videos. Man, I was dancing around my little office. It was very exciting. You know, now I get depressed if only 100 people watch me. But anyways, if you like this stuff, once again, hit that subscribe button. Let's get me over 4,000. Maybe we can even get me up to 5,000. Get out there, everybody. Enjoy the day. We'll talk again real soon. Bye-bye now.